Welcome to Rewatch-and-Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other, and today's episode is Merlin Season 3, Episode 5, The Changeling. Episode in a nutshell is just a brief reminder of what happens in the episode. So in this episode, it starts with a she casting a spell on a baby in a cradle. We then learn that this baby was a princess named Elena, who is now heading to Camelot to be the bride of Arthur, alongside her father and her maid Grunhilda. We then have them arriving at Camelot, where we see that Elena is very unkempt and clumsy, and her and Arthur interact awkwardly. We learn that the one thing she's really good at is horse riding, that they both lost their mothers when they were young, and they go out for a picnic, but obviously because she's clumsy and unkempt, and the changeling ends up like affecting the way that she's able to interact with the world. For example, she gets hiccups a lot, sneezes a lot, things like that. Arthur is kind of put off by her and definitely doesn't have any feelings for her, but they're both pressured, even though they both don't have feelings for each other, to get married, to cement an alliance, or rather an unspoken alliance that already exists between the friendship between Uther and her father. It's basically they want to make it official by having their children marry. While he's out collecting herbs, Grunhilda, we find out, is a pixie, because she has like a little bit of a consultation at the lake with the she, and then like the next day or maybe a couple days, anyways, during the day, she goes to a lake and starts eating flies with an extended tongue, which makes Merlin realize that she is not human. That is when him and Gaius realize that Elena is likely a changeling. Merlin then spies on her while she's sleeping, sees the changeling kind of bursting forth from her as she sleeps, and pixie dust placed on her by Grunhilda, basically suppressing the she so that it doesn't come out. And so him and Gaius then work towards creating a potion that will force the she out of Elena. That is also when Gaius is able to use Grunhilda's attraction to him in order to kind of lure her away. They trap her. They bring the potion to Elena. Elena hesitates to drink it because she's so nervous about her wedding day. Eventually, Merlin has to come in and basically force it down her throat. She then passes out. The she comes out. Merlin destroys the she. He's also destroyed Grunhilda. And so Elena then feels the best she's felt in years and arrives at the wedding, finally non-clumsy, non-unkempt. And it is during the wedding when both her and Arthur agree that because they do not have any feelings for each other and are simply getting married out of a sense of duty, that they're going to call off the wedding. And when they call off the wedding, they then leave. But they all leave on good terms because it was a mutual decision. And this keeps Arthur free to continue to have feelings for Guinevere, which Morgana has now caught on to because of the way he kept looking at Guinevere during dinner when he was trying to avoid getting married. And that's essentially what happened in this episode. So now that we've been reminded about what happened, it's now time to rank the episode, and we'll be ranking on our mostly objective ranking list first, followed by the personal ranking list. So on our mostly objective ranking values, we had 3 characters introduced just for this episode. There was Princess Elena, King Godwin, and then Grunhilda, the maid/nanny for Elena. And they're each worth 1 point, making it a 3 points total. And then we also have a 4 points for the existence of new supernatural entities, which is, of course, the existence of changelings, and that changelings are non-traditional in this universe. Traditionally, a changeling would be a baby that is human is swapped out for a baby that is not human. hence the changeling. But in this case, they made changelings human babies that are possessed by a she, which then allowed them to expel the she and Elena to still be fine and human going forward, which is a nice way of doing it, but also non-traditional. And then, of course, the existence of pixies, which in this case are um, pink with black boils on their skin and tongues like frogs that will eat flies and other type bugs. So also not traditional pixie, but we did get that bit of world building and the introduction of those creatures, and therefore that is worth 4 points, bringing the total for this episode objectively to a 7 out of 10. And that brings the mostly objective ranking list so far for Season 3 to, in first, the Tears of Uther Pendragon, Goblin's Gold, the Crystal Cave. This episode comes in fourth as the Changeling, and then fifth is Gwaine. So, as for my personal ranking of this episode, I have to say I did not enjoy the Arthur Guinevere stuff, as I've made clear in previous episodes. Not a fan of the couple, not a fan of that aspect of the story, so I usually just ignore it as background noise. And then, as far as what made this episode great, I like that Morgana found out about Arthur and Guinevere, because now she's evil. She's going to be able to use that to her advantage, and I think that's going to be fun to observe. And more than anything else in this episode, by far, was the Gaius and Brunhilde relationship that was happening. I thought that it was very funny. I thought it was hilarious how bold she was and how uncomfortable Gaius was, but he was still willing to use it to his advantage. And then ultimately, like the Elena and Arthur, obviously he didn't have any feelings for her, she didn't have any feelings for him, but I do also like the way that they really made a stark contrast between possessed Elena and after possession Elena, with the way that the character was designed. Ultimately, I liked more than I didn't, and what I didn't like is something that I haven't liked and never will like throughout the entire series, and therefore I did feel that it was a very strong episode overall, which is why I decided to give it an 8 out of 10 ranking. Which brings us to the Season 3 rankings so far on the personal ranking, and in first we have Goblin's Gold, second, The Changeling, third, The Tears of Uther Pendragon, fourth, The Crystal Cave, and then in fifth was Gwaine. So in our series ranking so far, on our mostly objective ranking, we have Season 2 in first place with 70.83%, Season 1 in second with 69.23%, and then Season 3 so far has a score of 34 out of 110. On our personal ranking side, we have also Season 2 in first place with 70.83%, Season 1 in second with 66.92%, and then Season 3 is still pending but has so far gotten a score of 37 out of 110. With that, we've now rewatched and ranked Merlin Season 3, Episode 5, The Changeling. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.